Admiral Henry Caldwell sat alone in his office aboard the space station Freedom. The blue glow of Earth shimmered through his viewport, but his eyes were fixed on the message displayed on his screen. He read it for the third time, his frown deepening with each word. The Galactic Council had made a decision. Earth would receive a special diplomatic guest, Princess Lyra of the Zenithian Empire. The message described it as a great honor, a chance to strengthen relations between humans and the ancient Zenithian civilization. But Caldwell wasn't fooled. He had spent enough time in council meetings to read between the lines. "They're dumping their problem on us," he muttered, pushing back from his desk. He walked to the viewport and stared at Earth below. Humans had only joined the Galactic Council 5 years ago, after finally developing faster than light travel. Most council races still viewed them as primitive newcomers, barely worth notice except when convenient. The princess, third daughter of Emperor Zaxvor, had apparently created quite a stir in the Zenithian court. Rumors spoke of refused marriages, public arguments with high officials, and even unauthorized modifications to royal ships. Rather than deal with the embarrassment, the emperor had convinced the council to arrange this cultural exchange. Caldwell's communication panel beeped. "Admiral, the council representatives request confirmation of your acceptance," said his assistant's voice. He took a deep breath. The smart move would be to refuse. Taking responsibility for a troublesome alien princess could only lead to complications. If anything happened to her while under human protection, it could damage Earth's standing even further. A soft chime indicated an incoming call. The screen lit up with the faces of 3 council representatives: the tall, insect-like Vexari ambassador, the elegant blue-skinned Zenithian diplomat, and the bulky reptilian craft delegate. "Admiral Caldwell," the Zenithian said smoothly, "we trust you've reviewed our proposal. The princess will arrive in 2 standard weeks. This honor is rarely bestowed on new council members." Caldwell noted the slight emphasis on new and the barely hidden smirk on the craft's scaled face. "We understand if Earth's facilities aren't adequate for royal accommodation," the Vexari added, mandibles clicking in what Caldwell recognized as amusement. "The princess has been informed of the primitive conditions she might face." Caldwell felt heat rise in his neck, but kept his expression neutral. This was exactly what they wanted. To provoke an emotional response they could report back to the full council as evidence of human diplomatic immaturity. "Earth is honored by the Emperor's trust," he replied calmly. "We will prepare suitable accommodations for Princess Lyra, and look forward to learning from her royal perspective." The surprise on their faces was almost worth the headache this assignment would surely bring. "Very well," the Zenithian said after a pause. "Transport details will follow. The princess will be your responsibility upon arrival." After the call ended, Caldwell sank back into his chair. His second in command, Captain Lisa Morgan, entered without knocking. "You accepted, didn't you?" she asked, already knowing the answer. "They expected us to refuse," Caldwell said. "They wanted to paint us as fearful or xenophobic. Instead, we get to babysit a royal troublemaker," Morgan sighed. "The crew won't be happy." Caldwell smiled for the first time that day. Maybe. But sometimes the unwanted gifts turn out to be the most valuable. He turned to look at Earth again. Humans had surprised the galaxy before. Perhaps they could do it again, with the help of an unexpected ally. Little did the council know, their attempt to mock humanity would soon backfire in ways none of them could imagine. News of Princess Lyra's upcoming arrival spread quickly through the command staff. Admiral Caldwell called an emergency meeting with his top officers in the main conference room of Space Station Freedom. Captain Lisa Morgan paced back and forth, unable to hide her frustration. "This is a mistake, Admiral. The Zenithians are setting us up to fail." The room felt tense. 8 senior officers sat around the oval table, most with worried expressions. Commander Rick Barnes, head of security, tapped his fingers nervously on the table. "Captain Morgan is right," Barnes said. "If anything happens to this princess while she's under our protection, The Zenithians will use it against us. They could restrict our access to trade routes or block our colony applications. Caldwell nodded calmly. I understand the risks, but I also see opportunity where others see only problems. Lieutenant Sam Foster, the youngest officer present, looked confused. What opportunity, sir? This princess sounds like nothing but trouble. That's exactly what makes her valuable, Caldwell replied. He touched a control pad, and a holographic image appeared above the table. A blue-skinned Zenithian female with striking violet eyes and the characteristic silver markings of the royal family. Princess Lyra may be politically inconvenient for her father, but she's still royalty. She has access to Zenithian knowledge and technology we desperately need. Dr. Elena Rivera, the station's chief medical officer, studied the image. What exactly did she do to get herself exiled? The official record says only that she required cultural broadening, Caldwell said with a small smile. Unofficial sources mention refused marriages, unauthorized ship modifications, and public criticism of imperial policies. She sounds reckless, Captain Morgan muttered. Or independent, Commander Kate Wilson countered. As head of engineering, Wilson had spent years fighting for respect in a male-dominated field. Maybe she just refused to play by their rules. Caldwell nodded. Either way, the Council expects us to refuse this assignment. They want to paint humans as diplomatically incompetent or xenophobic. So we're accepting just to prove them wrong. Barnes asked skeptically. We're accepting because sometimes the best resources come in unexpected packages, Caldwell replied. Think about it. They're sending us someone who knows Zenithian technology and isn't afraid to break rules. A thoughtful silence fell over the room. Earth's space navy had only recently gained minimal respect after successfully defending several Council merchant ships from pirates, but humans still lacked access to advanced technology that other races took for granted. What if she's a spy? Captain Morgan asked, finally stopping her pacing. This could be an elaborate way to assess our capabilities. Then we show her exactly what we want the Zenithians to see, Caldwell said firmly. Nothing more, nothing less. He stood up and looked at each officer in turn. I'm not asking for your agreement. I'm asking for your best effort. Princess Lyra arrives in 12 days. We will treat her with respect and caution in equal measure. Commander Wilson raised her hand. I volunteered to prepare her quarters and technical briefings, sir. Thank you, Commander. Captain Morgan, I want you to lead the welcome ceremony. Morgan's eyes widened. Sir, I've made my objections clear. Exactly why you're perfect for the job, Caldwell interrupted. The princess will respect honesty more than false politeness. As the meeting ended, officers filed out with mixed expressions. Only Dr. Rivera remained behind. You're taking a big risk, Henry, she said quietly. Caldwell nodded. Sometimes leadership means seeing potential where others see only problems. And if you're wrong. He smiled grimly. Then I'll have given the Council exactly what they wanted. Proof that humans aren't ready for the galactic stage. But in his heart, Caldwell believed this unwanted heiress might be exactly what Earth needed. The day of Princess Lyra's arrival brought unusual activity to Space Station Freedom. Maintenance crews worked overtime, polishing the metal floors of the main docking bay. Security officers in crisp uniforms stood at attention along the walls. Admiral Caldwell had ordered everything to be perfect. The delegation will dock in 5 minutes, Admiral, announced the station's AI through the speakers. Caldwell straightened his uniform one last time. Beside him stood Captain Morgan, Commander Wilson, and 4 other senior officers. Their faces showed a mix of curiosity and concern. Remember, Caldwell said quietly, we represent not just this station, but all of humanity. Whatever your personal feelings about this assignment, keep them hidden. Captain Morgan nodded stiffly. Yes, sir. The massive airlock doors at the end of the docking bay began to glow with status lights. The Zenithian shuttle had arrived. Here we go, muttered Commander Wilson. With a soft hiss, the airlock opened. Two tall Zenithian guards stepped through first, their blue skin shimmering under the bay lights. They wore formal armor of silver and blue, with energy weapons at their sides. Their eyes scanned the room carefully before they nodded to someone still inside the airlock. Then Princess Lyra appeared, and a collective intake of breath could be heard from the human delegation. She was not what anyone expected. Most Zenithian royalty dressed in elaborate robes with dozens of jewels and ceremonial markings. Princess Lyra wore a simple blue and silver jumpsuit that looked almost practical. Her only visible royal symbol was a small silver circlet on her head. But it was her eyes that caught everyone's attention. Deep violet with flecks of electric blue, alert and intelligent. She moved with graceful confidence as she approached the human delegation. "Admiral Henry Caldwell," she said in perfect English, surprising everyone. Most aliens relied on translation devices. "I am Lyra Valzoran, third daughter of Emperor Zaxivor." She bowed slightly, another unexpected gesture. Caldwell returned the bow. "Princess Lyra, on behalf of Earth and the United Space Forces, I welcome you to Space Station Freedom." Lyra's violet eyes studied him carefully. "I appreciate your government's willingness to host me despite the circumstances." Her directness was shocking. "I promise not to be more trouble than necessary." Captain Morgan couldn't hide her surprise at this candid acknowledgement. The princess was openly admitting that her assignment here was problematic. Caldwell recovered quickly. "Earth welcomes you, Princess. We look forward to a productive cultural exchange." He emphasized the word productive slightly. A small smile touched Lyra's lips. "As do I, Admiral. More than you might imagine." The formal introductions continued as Caldwell presented his officers. When he introduced Commander Wilson as head of engineering, Lyra's interest visibly increased. "Commander Wilson, I look forward to learning about human engineering practices. Perhaps we could arrange a tour of your facilities." Wilson looked surprised but pleased. "Of course, Princess. Whenever you wish." As they escorted Lyra toward her quarters, Captain Morgan whispered to Caldwell, "She's nothing like I expected." "No," Caldwell agreed quietly. "She's much more interesting." Behind them, Lyra was already asking Commander Wilson detailed questions about the station's power systems, questions that showed unexpected technical knowledge. One of the Zenithian guards leaned toward the other and whispered something in their native language. The princess glanced back at them with a sharp look that silenced them immediately. Caldwell caught the interaction and filed it away mentally. The relationship between the princess and her escort was clearly tense. Perhaps there was more to this assignment than even he had guessed. As they entered the main living section of the station, Caldwell felt the first stirrings of hope. The Unwanted Heiress might indeed become Earth's most valuable ally. Lieutenant Olivia Russell was not happy with her new assignment. 2 weeks ago, she had been planning deep space reconnaissance missions. Now she was babysitting an alien princess. It's punishment, she complained to her friend in the station cafeteria. "I questioned the Admiral's decision too loudly, and now I'm stuck as her cultural liaison for the next 6 months." But after 3 weeks with Princess Lyra, Olivia was changing her mind. Today, they walked through the engineering section of the U.S. Horizon, Earth's newest flagship. The princess moved with purpose, asking questions that surprised the human engineers. "Your warp field stabilizers are interesting," Lyra said, studying a control panel. "Using a double-layered approach is clever. We typically use crystal matrices, but your method might be more adaptable." Olivia raised an eyebrow. "You seem to know a lot about engines for a royal princess." Lyra smiled. "On Zenith, royalty is expected to be decorative and politically useful. Technical knowledge is considered inappropriate, especially for daughters." "That didn't stop you, obviously," Olivia noted. "The more my father forbade it, the more I wanted to learn." Lyra ran her hand along the metal railing near the warp core. "By 16, I was sneaking into the royal shipyards at night. By 20, I had designed my own modifications for the shield systems on the royal fleet." Olivia stopped walking. "Wait, You personally designed shield modifications for the Royal Fleet. Lyra nodded, her attention now focused on the human warp drive pulsing with blue energy. The standard Zenithian shields were vulnerable to certain frequencies. I found a way to fix the weakness. She looked up with a mischievous smile. Without permission, of course. Is that why you were sent away? Olivia asked before thinking. Rather than being offended, Lyra laughed. The sound was musical and surprisingly warm. Partly. I also refused several marriage offers from powerful families, and I publicly criticized how resources were distributed to our outer colonies. Her expression grew more serious. I have many faults, Lieutenant, but being a quiet, obedient ornament isn't one of them. As they continued the tour, Lyra asked increasingly detailed questions about Earth's technology. She didn't just understand the engineer's answers. She suggested improvements. Later that evening, Olivia requested a private meeting with Admiral Caldwell. Sir, I need to report something important about Princess Lyra. Caldwell looked up from his desk. Problems already, Lieutenant. No, sir. The opposite. Olivia stood straight, choosing her words carefully. I believe we've seriously underestimated her value as an ally. She's not just a political refugee. She's possibly the most knowledgeable Zenithian on propulsion and shield technology we could have hoped to meet. Caldwell's expression changed from concern to interest. Explain. She's been designing ship modifications since she was a teenager. She speaks about advanced engineering concepts like someone with years of training, and she seems genuinely interested in sharing that knowledge. Why would she help us? Caldwell asked. She's still Zenithian royalty. Olivia hesitated. Sir, I think she's looking for somewhere she can be valued for her mind, not just her royal blood. She's been asking about our research programs, our engineering teams. Caldwell leaned back in his chair, thinking. Interesting. The council thought they were punishing us with an unwanted troublemaker. Instead, they gave us exactly what we needed, someone who understands their technology and isn't afraid to share it. Olivia finished. Keep spending time with her, Caldwell ordered. Learn everything she's willing to teach. But be careful. We still don't know if there's another game being played here. As Olivia left, Caldwell smiled to himself. Sometimes the best gifts came in the most unexpected packages. The princess who wasn't wanted by her own people might become humanity's greatest advantage. 6 months after Princess Lyra's arrival, life on Space Station Freedom had settled into a comfortable routine. The princess spent most days working alongside Commander Wilson's engineering team, impressing everyone with her knowledge. Even Captain Morgan had grudgingly admitted that the royal burden was proving useful. No one expected disaster to strike during a routine diplomatic mission. The U.S. Horizon was transporting delegates to Earth's newest colony when alarms blared through the ship. Multiple vessels decloaking, shouted the sensor officer. Keldoran signatures. Captain John Peters barely had time to order shields up before the first energy blast hit. The ship rocked violently. Return fire, he commanded, but the tactical officer shook his head. Can't get a lock, sir. Their cloaking technology is masking their exact positions. The Keldorans were notorious raiders with technology that outmatched most council races. Their ships could fire while partially cloaked, making them nearly impossible to target accurately. A second blast hit harder than the first. Captain Peters was thrown against a console, his head striking metal. He collapsed unconscious as chaos erupted on the bridge. Lieutenant Olivia Russell, who had been assigned to escort Princess Lyra for the mission, took command. Medical team to the bridge. Continue evasive maneuvers. Communications were jammed. The Horizon was on its own, with a damaged drive system and weapons that couldn't target the attackers. Where's the princess? Olivia asked suddenly, realizing Lyra wasn't on the bridge. Last seen heading to engineering, reported a security officer. Olivia made a quick decision. Commander Wright, you have the bridge. I need to get the princess to safety. But when Olivia reached engineering, she found Princess Lyra already there, working frantically alongside the human engineers. Her blue hands moved quickly over control panels. "Princess, you need to get to the escape pods," Olivia ordered. "If the Keldorans capture a Zenithian royal, they'll have to capture me first," Lyra interrupted without looking up. "Their cloaking technology has a weakness, a distinctive resonance pattern in its energy field." Her violet eyes were focused intensely on her work. "If we can modify your sensor array to detect this pattern." Commander Wright had followed Olivia down to engineering. "That's classified Zenithian technology," he said, shocked. "Your people have guarded those secrets for centuries." Lyra finally looked up, her expression determined. "Consider it my gift to Earth." Her voice grew harder. "Now, are you going to help me save this ship or continue stating the obvious?" Olivia made her decision instantly. "What do you need?" "Access to your main sensor controls and 3 power regulators," Lyra answered. For 20 intense minutes, Lyra worked alongside human engineers, directing modifications that no human had ever seen before. The ship shuddered repeatedly as it took more hits from the raiders. "Almost there," Lyra muttered as she made final adjustments. Now, on the main screen, the previously empty space suddenly revealed 5 Keldoran ships, their cloaking no longer hiding them from the horizon sensors. "We have targeting," shouted the weapons officer. "Fire everything we've got," ordered Olivia. The Horizon's weapons found their marks with devastating accuracy. 2 Keldoran ships exploded immediately. The others, suddenly vulnerable, turned to retreat. "Don't let them escape," Lyra said urgently. "If they report what happened, your advantage will be lost." The Horizon pursued, disabling the remaining raiders before they could jump to safety. When it was over, the bridge crew stood in stunned silence. The princess had not only saved the ship but had given humans technology that the Zenithian Empire had protected for generations. "Why?" Olivia asked quietly as the cleanup began. "Why would you share such valuable secrets with us?" Lyra's gaze was steady. "Because sometimes you have to choose where your true loyalties lie." She looked around at the human crew. "And I've made my choice." No one realized yet just how much that choice would change the future of Earth and the entire Galactic Council. The emergency meeting of the Galactic Council began with tension filling the Grand Chamber. Admiral Caldwell stood straight in his formal uniform, Princess Lyra beside him. On the massive curved screen before them, 12 alien faces stared down with expressions ranging from anger to curiosity. The Keldoran ambassador, a tall figure with gray-ridged skin, spoke first. His voice boomed through the chamber. "This is an outrage. The human ship attacked our peaceful vessels without warning." Caldwell remained calm. "Our sensor logs clearly show your ships fired first, Ambassador. They attacked a diplomatic vessel carrying civilian delegates." "Impossible to verify," the Keldoran hissed. "Unless..." His eyes narrowed as he looked at Princess Lyra. "Unless you used classified technology." The Zenithian representative, an older male with elaborate facial markings, leaned forward. "What is the ambassador suggesting?" Lyra stepped forward before Caldwell could answer. "I shared sensor modifications with the humans that allowed them to detect Keldoran ships through their cloaking shields." A shocked silence fell over the chamber. The Zenithian representative's face darkened to a deeper blue. "This is unprecedented," the Keldoran ambassador shouted, pounding his fist. "Sharing classified technology with non-allied species violates at least 6 interstellar treaties. Treaties that the Keldoran hegemony has repeatedly broken through piracy," Lyra responded calmly. "I shared knowledge that saved lives during an unprovoked attack." The Zenithian representative struggled to maintain his composure. Princess Lyra acted without authorization from Emperor Zaxivor. Her actions do not represent Zenithian policy or interests. "No," Lyra agreed, her voice strong and clear in the chamber. "They represent the future." She turned slightly, addressing the entire council directly. "Humans have proven themselves worthy allies while most council races have treated them as second-class members. When attacked, they defended themselves with courage. When offered knowledge, they used it responsibly. The council chamber filled with angry voices as representatives argued with each other. Admiral Caldwell watched silently, a small smile playing at the corner of his mouth. This was exactly what he had hoped for when he accepted the Unwanted Heiress 6 months ago. The head counselor, a Vexari with translucent wings, raised all 4 of his arms for silence. Princess Lyra, you understand the seriousness of your actions. The Emperor could demand your return to face imperial justice. Lyra stood taller. I formally request political asylum on Earth. I offer my knowledge in exchange for citizenship. Another wave of shocked voices swept through the chamber. The Zenithian representative looked as if he might faint. This is highly irregular, the head counselor said. A royal requesting asylum with a junior member race has no precedent. Perhaps it should. Caldwell finally spoke. Earth accepts the princess's request for asylum. We will protect her as one of our own. The Keldaran ambassador slammed his hand down again. This cannot stand. The humans cannot be allowed to benefit from stolen technology. Not stolen, Lyra corrected firmly. Freely given. As will other technologies be if Earth is treated as an equal partner in this council. The implied threat was clear. If pushed, Lyra would share more Zenithian secrets with her new human allies. The head counselor looked troubled. This matter requires consultation with all member worlds. We will recess for 3 standard days. As the screen went dark, Caldwell turned to Lyra. You've just changed the balance of power in the entire council. Lyra's violet eyes showed no regret. They mocked you for accepting me, called me the Unwanted Heiress. Now they fear what that decision means. And what does it mean, Princess? Caldwell asked quietly. She smiled, determination clear on her face. It means humanity will never be underestimated again. And neither will I. As they left the chamber, both knew that nothing in the galaxy would ever be the same. 1 year after the dramatic council confrontation, Earth's position in galactic politics had changed completely. The new Earth embassy on the council homeworld stood as a symbol of humanity's rising influence. Its sleek design combined human aesthetics with advanced technology that had once been beyond their reach. Admiral Caldwell walked through the embassy's curved hallways, nodding to staff members as he passed. Much had changed since Princess Lyra had requested asylum. The Zenithian Empire, after months of angry protests, had finally accepted the situation. Trade agreements, once heavily weighted against Earth, were now being renegotiated on equal terms. Caldwell found Lyra in the observation lounge. She stood alone by the massive window, watching the stars. She no longer wore Zenithian royal clothing, having adopted human-style clothing in blue and silver that complemented her skin tone. I thought I might find you here, Caldwell said as he joined her by the window. Lyra smiled but kept her eyes on the stars. Old habits. On Zenith, I used to sneak to the palace observatory when I needed to think. I have news, Caldwell said. The Zenithian Emperor has finally responded to your asylum request. Lyra turned to face him, her expression calm, but Caldwell could see tension in her shoulders. And he has officially renounced your royal status and inheritance. You are no longer considered Zenithian royalty. Lyra nodded slowly, then surprised Caldwell with a small smile. And yet I find myself richer than before. Caldwell understood. In the years since she had shared the sensor technology, Lyra had become a respected member of Earth's scientific community. Her insights had advanced human technology by decades. Earth will always be grateful for your choice, Caldwell said sincerely. The President has approved your citizenship ceremony for next month. Not just citizenship, Lyra replied, her violet eyes bright with excitement. The Advanced Propulsion Research Division has offered me the director position. Caldwell smiled. I may have recommended you for the role. Outside the window, ships from various council worlds moved through the busy space lanes. Among them were several Earth vessels, their designs now incorporating elements of Zenithian technology that Lyra had shared. The council mocked you for accepting me, Lyra said quietly. They thought you were being saddled with a problem. Instead, we gained our greatest advantage. Caldwell's expression grew serious. You could have returned to Zenith a hero after the Keldoran incident. Your father would have been forced to welcome you back. Why choose Earth instead? Lyra's gaze returned to the stars. For a moment, she was silent, considering her answer. On Zenith, I was valued for my bloodline, for who my ancestors were. She turned to face Caldwell fully. Here, I'm valued for my mind, for what I can create and contribute. Her blue fingers lightly touched the Earth insignia she now wore on her shoulder. Besides, Earth seems to specialize in turning unwanted problems into unexpected solutions. I find I quite like being part of that tradition. Captain Morgan entered the observation lounge, nodding to them both. Once Lyra's greatest skeptic, Morgan had become one of her strongest supporters after the Keldoran incident. Admiral, the Council representatives have arrived for the trade negotiations, Morgan reported. Thank you, Captain. We'll be right there. Caldwell turned back to Lyra, ready to show them what humanity and its newest citizen can do. Lyra smiled confidently. They've seen nothing yet. As they walked together toward the conference room, both knew that what had begun as a political embarrassment had transformed into the beginning of humanity's golden age among the stars. The Council had mocked Caldwell for accepting the Unwanted Heiress. Now that same Council would learn to respect the power of that decision and the remarkable alliance it had created.